Say something.
Over the past years, we've seen a massive acceleration with AI adoption. AI is now reshaping how the value is created. Now, the Talking Point is a place where international experts will explore the true meaning of intelligent transformation. From strategy to execution, we will see how to turn AI into clear business outcomes with real cases, real experts, real insights, and questions that will make the difference. Hello, I'm Saber Kasbawi and I will be your host for this show. Diego, intelligent transformation is everywhere, and every company, every vendor is using it. Is it a rebranding of digital transformation or is it something truly new?
Hello, Saber. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. Very good question, Saber. Previous waves, cloud, data, or digital transformation, digitize what already exists, but with new technology. AI is changing this. AI is offering us an opportunity to change the operating model. We understand that this transformation needs to be driven by two different axes. One is process transformation, transforming and rethinking processes into AI native processes. And the other is data modernization, because AI is as good as the data that you have behind it. Real-time, reliable, and AI-ready data is the real competitive mode. None of these can be scaled without our right foundations. Cloud design for AI workloads, AI architectures, security by design, and a governance to drive transformation. But we must not forget people. The use of AI is not the same as adopt AI in the organization. So a good culture about AI is a strategic priority. That intelligence transformation is not AI as add-on, is intelligence into the core of the business.
Great. And Diego, what about the shift that companies have to face with AI?
Organizations need to face three main challenges for this intelligence transformation. First of all, as I said before, is processes. It's not about how to include AI in the process. It's how we need to change or to rethink the processes because of AI. Secondly, the challenge lies in technology and data. There's a wide range of technology available, and implementing an AI platform integrated with the enterprise ecosystem is key. But it's also crucial to take into account the data availability and quality. Thirdly, and perhaps most important, is people, because transformation is driven by people, and implementing effective adoption is key for success.
Thank you, Diego. That's a great way to frame it. Let's keep exploring that during our show. Let's bring with us Abhijit live from London, joining us on the show. So, Abhijit, what's the starting point for most companies when it comes to intelligent transformation?
Hi. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here on the Talking Point, albeit from a distance in the UK. Look, this is a topic we talk about all the time with our clients, our partners, our colleagues, and especially in this particular tech and economic cycle, it's probably more relevant now than ever. What we're typically seeing is that our customers don't start from a blank page. Most of our clients already have a long list of use cases to solve real-world problems, deliver tangible ROI, using either intelligent transformation or similar constructs. From an execution or implementation perspective, they have a number of implementation models. Hub and spoke is a good one. So in this one, they have the guardrails developed centrally, and then business units or countries are building or adapting use cases for their specific needs on top of those guardrails. So as you can imagine, each client customizes and deploys an approach that works best for them. We see three areas where clients tend to look at this from a context of business value. And this is important for us because that in turn determines how we at VASS align our solutions for our clients and markets. The first, I'd say, is everyday application, like colleagues using productivity tools to augment or assist everyday tasks. The second is more around operational efficiency oriented initiatives like developer productivity, middle or back office, process automation, or building agentic data products to solve real problems. And the third, I'd say, would be business ROI. So specifically revenue generating applications like you're building new core systems or digital channels.
Diego, we are hearing that most of the AI projects never make it to production. According to you, what would be the main blocker that prevents delivering real value?
Because they start with technology, not the outcome. The companies is asking themselves, what can I do with AI? Rather than what is the problem to solve and how AI can enable to do this. So intelligent transformation is for business outcomes, is for transform the way that we are doing things. You can start defining 5 or 6 or 7 business cases where you can measure and monitoring the real business value. So select good use cases with a very well-designed and defined KPIs is the real way to transform the company and to implement this new AI-ready company.
Abhijit, you work closely with clients across financial service and beyond. Can you share with us some examples of how companies are moving from isolated actions to true transformation?
Absolutely. Look, what we're seeing in practice is basically a shift away from automating or optimizing monolithic processes or tasks to essentially rethinking full processes end to end, whilst ensuring that any target solution is truly connected to data and workflows instead of operating in isolation. And frankly, this is probably the biggest challenge in today's world where, as you know, legacy and new tech sit side by side. A great example is what the work we're doing for a global bank and B, a global insurer. In the case of the global bank, they have 100 million customers across the world. Our recent work has helped them streamline their ID processing with I think we reached 97% STP, has implications for security, retention, and churn. And in parallel, we also helped improve the experience for their consumer finance division, for the customers and dealer networks by standardizing and optimizing a combination of processes of data and content across countries, whilst adapting to local regulations and market needs. And that obviously directly impacts NPS and revenue growth. If I come to the example of the global insurance provider, we basically started with a blank slate and a mandate to improve one of their core cross-border offerings for corporate customers. And this had a view on resilience, on security, and on predictability. We worked with senior client executives, business and tech. Our SMEs looked at their existing processes, systems, and data flows to come up with a number of viable options, which leveraged both their existing investments, but also offered faster throughput, more cost optimality, and leveraged the power of cloud, agentic, and SaaS for autonomous networks, context-based decisioning, and sustained resilience, which eventually improved their operational capabilities. We're seeing similar patterns in other sectors as well. So in manufacturing, in automotive, in utilities, the context changes, but the core outcomes for customers, for colleagues, and regulators are, as you might imagine, very, very similar. I'd say the difference between organizations getting this right and those that aren't is almost always the same. The one succeeding started with the outcome in mind, not the technology. So they almost took a first principles approach instead of relying on what has or may have worked before.
Abhijit, from what you see with the client, what happens when the foundation are not in place, and what the failure looks like?
So it's unfortunately very common. And in my experience, most AI and automation initiatives are failing for the same reasons. I'll touch on some of those. So, first of all, a lack of a clear vision and accountability in the C-suite or the top management. That's often a root cause. Taking isolated or uncoordinated actions, teams or areas that aren't talking to each other, and as you can imagine, this mostly results in unsuccessful pilot programs or POCs. Ignoring aspects like data security, which can be blockers to implementation late in the life cycle, results in deployments which are not mature or industrial grade. Not having the right measures for measuring return on investment or real business value, and having too heavy a reliance on past ideas or best practices. Clients often want to maximize those investments, so they can get bogged down with those as well. These ecosystem integration or architecture aspects are not necessarily the most glamorous, but without them, nothing scales. There are simple fixes or best practices which you can use. For example, in the context of today's discussion, intelligent transformation, we see clients succeeding where AI-led transformation is applied horizontally across systems, across data and processes to simplify complex tasks and roll out new ones. And this also has the ancillary benefit of improving both the speed of change and the cost of change.
And Diego, you've spoken a lot about foundations. Why is this so critical?
AI is not a specific architecture or solution. It's an integrated ecosystem. As any technological evolution needs to have right foundations. We need an AI platform to execute business use cases. We need an AI observability to ensure security and cost control. And also a good architecture to integrate AI platforms with the ecosystem of the companies. At VASS, we are already implementing this. We have implemented a new agentic code platform to integrate AI in all the different services that we are providing to customers. So foundations are not the goal, but without them, the transformation doesn't scale.
To close, I want to put on the table a last question for both of you. Where should companies actually start? And how are we helping clients to take the first steps?
We always recommend start small, but start now. What you build in the next 12 months defines what is possible in the 5 next years. At VASS, we always start each project working with the customer in an assessment to evaluate the AI readiness across 4 areas: processes, data, technology, and culture. With this evaluation, we can identify the gap, design the roadmap to become an AI-ready company.
So thank you, Diego, for joining us on the show. That was really insightful. Abhijit, to close this section, from your perspective, what separates the organizations that sustain this transformation over time from those that don't?
Good organizations treat this intelligent transformation as an ongoing journey, an evolution almost, and not as a project or a program with an end date. And we see a pattern emerging in organizations that get this right time and again, almost a proven formula. They have dedicated leadership and executive oversight. So often the CEO or an equivalent executive is involved and is often its strongest advocate. They define governance models for secure adoption, access standards, and compliance. They establish operating models for people and for AI, thinking carefully about the use of, let's say, public tools versus enterprise environments, almost taking a tech agnostic view where one stack can be seamlessly swapped with another depending on the context and the processes. And they continuously measure. I think it sounds simpler than it is, but they continuously measure performance and they learn by doing. And they take colleagues on the journey. So it's not about mandating or not mandating, but rather almost organically embedding it with solutions that are contextualized for their colleagues' individual situations. They drive ongoing innovation, including, for instance, LLM suites. And last but not least, they share their vision with their clients. They share their vision with the partners across pilot POCs, across MVPs, through often co-investment models. And this is how transformation becomes sustainable, it becomes consistent, and it becomes real.
Thank you everyone for joining this show. We've seen how the intelligent transformation is impacting the business, and we hope to see you on the next episode to explore more topics about AI.